So today we will be starting with organisms and population. Our living world is fascinatingly diverse and amazingly complex. We can try to understand its complexity by investigating processes at various levels of biological organization like macromolecules, cells, tissues, organs, individual organisms, population, communities, ecosystems, and biomes. So, at any level of biological organization, we can ask two types of questions. For example, when we hear the bulbul singing early morning in the garden, we may ask, how does the bird sing? Or why does the bird sing? The how type questions seek the mechanism behind the process, while the why type questions seek the significance of the process. So, for the first question in our example, the answer might be in terms of the operation of the voice box and the vibrating bone in the bird. Whereas for the second question, the answer may lie in the bird's need to communicate with its mate during breeding season. When you observe nature around you with a scientific frame of mind, you will certainly come up with many interesting questions of both types. Why are night blooming flowers generally white? How does the bee know which flower has nectar? Why does cactus have so many thorns? How does the chick spurs recognize her own mother? And so on. So you have already learned in previous classes that ecology is a subject which studies the interactions among organisms and between the organism and its physical abiotic environment. Ecology is basically concerned with four levels of biological organization: organisms, population, communities, and biomes. In this chapter, we will explore ecology at organismic and population levels. Now, population attributes. In nature, we rarely find isolated single individuals of any species. Majority of them live in groups in a well-defined geographical area, share or compete for similar resources, potentially interbreed, and thus constitute a population. Although the term interbreeding implies sexual reproduction, a group of individuals resulting from even asexual reproduction group is also generally considered a population for the purpose of ecological studies. Although cormorants in a wetland, rats in an abandoned dwelling, teak wood trees in a forest tract, bacteria in a culture plate, and lotus plants in a pond are some examples of a population. In earlier chapters, you have learned that although an individual organism is the one that has to cope with a changed environment, it is at the population level that natural selection operates to evolve the desired traits. Population ecology is therefore an important area because it links ecology to population genetics and evolution. Now, population has certain attributes whereas an individual organism does not. An individual may have births and deaths, but a population has birth rates and death rates. Now, in a population, these rates refer to per capita births and deaths. The rates hence expressed are change in numbers, like increase or decrease with respect to the members of the population. Here is an example. If upon there were 20 lotus plants last year and through reproduction 8 new plants are added, taking the current population to 28, we calculate the birth rate as 8 by 20 means 0.4 offspring per lotus per year. If 4 individuals in a laboratory population of 40 fruit flies died during a specified time interval, say a week, the death rate in the population during that period is 4 by 40 means 0.1 individuals per fruit fly per week. Another attribute characteristic of a population is sex ratio. An individual is either a male or a female, but a population has a sex ratio. Example: 60% of the populations are females and 40% males. A population at any given time is composed of individuals of different ages. If the age distribution means percent per 100 individuals of a given age or age group is plotted for the population, the resulting structure is called an age pyramid. For human population, the age pyramids generally show age distribution of males and females in a diagram. The shape of the pyramids reflects the growth status of the population, whether it is growing, stable, or declining. So, this is the diagram of expanding or growing age pyramid, and this is stable and this is declining. Now, the size of the population tells us a lot about its status in the habitat. Whatever ecological processes we wish to investigate in a population, be it the outcome of the competition with another species, the impact of the predator, or the effect of a pesticide application, we always evaluate them in terms of any change in the population size. The size in nature could be as low as less than 10, like Siberian cranes at Bharatpur wetlands in any year, or go into millions like Chlamydomonas in a pond. So population size, technically called population density, designated as N, capital N, need not necessarily be measured in numbers only. Although total number is generally the most appropriate measure of population density, it is in some cases either meaningless or difficult to determine. In an area, if there are 200 carrot grass, Parthenium hysterophorus plants, but only a single huge banyan tree is with a large canopy, stating that the population density of banyan is low relative to that of carrot grass amounts to underestimating the enormous role of the banyan in that community. In such cases, the percent cover or biomass is a more meaningful measure of the population size. Total number is again not an easily adaptable measure if the population is huge and counting is impossible or very time consuming. If you have a dense laboratory culture of bacteria in a petri dish, what is the best measure to report its density? Sometimes, for certain ecological investigations, there is no need to know the absolute population densities. Relative densities serve the purpose equally well. For example, let's suppose the number of fish caught per trap is good enough measure of its population density in that lake. We are mostly obliged to estimate population sizes indirectly without actually counting them or seeing them. The tiger census in our national parks and tiger reserves is often based on pug marks and fecal pellets.